As far as pandemics films go, this is actually one of the least offensive one that we've had so far. What's going on, everybody? My name is Josie. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about The Harbinger, a little independent film that came out about a week ago about a girl named Monique who ventures out of quarantine to visit an old friend plagued by nightmares. She finds herself drawn into a hellish dreamscape where she must face her greatest fear or risk never having existed at all. And at first, when I first saw this poster and I didn't know anything about this film going in, the tagline "Forget Me Not" didn't really dawn to me until about a couple days ago while I was pondering this film, because while I think this film is one of the best horror films of this year, this movie from the beginning starts off very, very thrilling. There were a couple of jump scares in the beginning that caught me off guard, and I didn't know where this film was going. There were a couple of moments in this film where I had just closed my eyes, and that usually never happens with horror films because you can always predict when something is about to jump up, because you usually get that really long, drawn out silence followed by a really loud bang. But that's not what happens in this film. There are a lot of moments in this film where the sequence is drawn out just a little bit, but nothing actually happens. And that is something that is very haunting to me. And not only does this film take place in the pandemic, and we've seen a lot of films take place in the pandemic, some for the best, others for the worst. This one is actually one that actually does it very well, because not only does it invoke the pandemic very on, but it also happens, I believe, in May of 2020. So pretty early in the pandemic is when this film takes place. And this film, to me, was absolutely thought-provoking. For me, this is not just a movie with jump scares. Is this movie perfect? Absolutely not. There were a lot of issues that I had, mostly with a couple of some of the dialogue in this film, and some of the acting in this film really wasn't really top tier when it comes to that department. But what this movie does very well is the fact that it is very thought-provoking, especially when everybody was so isolated during the pandemic. We didn't have anything like this happen before, so we didn't know exactly how to navigate what was supposed to happen, and we didn't know how long we were going to be in lockdown. Nowadays, we are past the pandemic to a degree. We are in the post-pandemic era, but we still have those things that we carried on from the pandemic. And I think, to me, this movie was a lot more thought-provoking, mostly because I am one of those people that actually thinks about existence, about things outside of the universe, the multiverse, the forgetness of everything. The fact that maybe one day I may have never existed, and maybe you have never existed. What would life be like if we had those thoughts coming in? I think this movie tackles that very well in a very delicate manner, because once you get to the ending of this film, it actually makes you think about it just a little bit more, about what would our paths be if we did not take the path that we're on right now. What would life be like? What would our parents' life be like? What would our friends' life be like? And that is something that I actually absolutely loved about this film. And even though there are some great jump scares in this film, and it's not really throughout the entire film, but it's just very haunting and very thought-provoking, that I just came out absolutely liking it to almost loving it. I love the themes about this film, don't get me wrong, but this isn't a perfect film. There are a lot of issues when it comes to this film, but this film absolutely knew where it was going, and it knew what kind of themes to tackle on, and it absolutely tackled those themes to a great extent, because there were a lot of moments in this film that I actually had a lot of thought in it. Now, there are a lot of slow moments in this film, and this movie is not going to be for everybody, mostly because this is an independent film and a lot of people aren't drawn to films like this. But to me, it was actually one of the best films of the year. It was one of the best horror films that I was not expecting to enjoy, mostly because I really enjoy little independent films like this. mostly because not a lot of people may have heard of this film or know exactly what kind of films these are. But when a film like this comes along and it surprises you, that is something that is really worth talking about. I think this is absolutely a joy to watch. It won't be for everybody, but for me, it tackled the things that I wanted it to, and it did it in spades to a degree. Overall, I will give The Harbinger a solid recommendation. This movie really does tackle on a lot of things that I did not expect it to, but it was very thought-provoking. There were some great moments of chills, of scares, and it was just a wonderful surprise that I absolutely enjoyed coming out of this film. But those are my thoughts on The Harbinger. Have you guys checked it out? Maybe you don't know what this film is because it's really not that well known. But if you have checked it out, go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if the plot synopsis gives you any interest about this film, go ahead and let me know if you have any interest in checking it out before the end of the year or any time. If you like this video, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more videos. Click that bell notification so you get notified every single time that a video pops up. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.